And welcome back, everyone, to Pokemon Team Videos. Today, on the 14th of November, 2021. That's my box office report style of talking. I'm doing that after this. I already had this set up, so I figured I'd do this first. And today's suggestion, technically this wasn't a suggestion. Basically, as I have explained to people, I have a book. I write down the suggestions, and then I go in order, so everyone gets a fair turn. That's why it gets really annoying. People just say, "Why haven't you done mine yet?" After I've already done like one of theirs. Now that is why it is also beneficial for multiple people to give me the same suggestion, so multiple people can get theirs, out there more. But I also have, at least in my Pokemon teams and my What If book, a personal list of ones that I want to do, and it just so happened that the personal list is what came up. So one of the big ones I have in the personal list are Bleach characters. I love the anime and manga Bleach, plus Naruto, My Hero is on there as well. Other things are on there. But Bleach is on there. And I'm like, okay, I already did Kenpachi, and I think I did Ichigo. I did Ichigo. So I'm like, okay, let's see who else we got on here now. I was like, all right, might as well go down the list of the 13 Court Guard Squad captains. So this is Genryusai Yamamoto's Pokemon team. If you are not familiar with the anime or manga Bleach, very, very, very quick synopsis on this. Like, let's not even make this say 20 seconds. Starting at the 5-second mark here and go. So Genryusai Yamamoto was the head captain of the 13 Court Guard squads. He was one of the most OP characters in the series and is over 2,000 years old minimum. Actually, he's well older than that. And his main abilities are manipulating fire and the amount of power he has behind those flames. Okay, everyone good? Happy? All right, moving on. So, if you do know the series Bleach, I'll go into more detail with my picks. But if you know the character well enough, then you know that he's mostly going to have, if not entirely going to have, Fire-type Pokemon on this team. And now that I'm looking at this, do I have everything I need? Yes, I do have everything I need on here. Fire-type Pokemon on this team. So, let's actually get out of the way the one non-Fire-type Pokemon on this team. And yes, there is a Pokemon on this team that is not a fire type. The Pokemon of our choosing today is Aegislash. Now, why Aegislash? Well, I wanted to be sure that if I was going to do a Yamamoto team, that at least one Pokemon could be a non-fire type, because just having a straight fire type team, even for as powerful as they are, and all these Pokemon would be like 100 level maxed out. Perfect EVs, all that. But I wanted to be sure that if there would be a team for this guy, it would all be all fire types, or there'd be some exceptions. And I feel like Aegislash is the exception. The reason for that is it's a ghost type. Shinigami are spiritual beings, so that makes sense that right off the bat it's a ghost type. Also, it is the only sword line of Pokemon with Hone Edge and Doublade that exists. So when you talk about characters that use Zanpakuto and are extremely powerful with their Zanpakuto, the blade, it also lends itself to being a Pokemon that could be on this type of character's team. But more than anything else, it's one of those Pokemon that has extremely high stats, but it rotates between them. And Yamamoto was probably the most well-balanced character in terms of what his defense and defensive capabilities were, because he was the head captain. He could take amazing punishment. He lost an arm and was basically, even though a little weaker for it, really didn't lose a step. And yet he didn't even need his sword if he needed to actually dish out severe damage. So really, Yamamoto is a completely well-rounded figure, as is Aegislash. Add on the fact that they do talk about this thing being in ancient times, and you add in the age factor for Yamamoto as well. So on that basis, I did like having Aegislash on the team. That said, it is the only non-fire type on this team. So now we move on to the actual team. Now, when it comes to this became a little tricky, because when it came to Yamamoto's Zanpakuto, which is really where we're basing a lot of this team, if not the entire team on, any fire Pokemon that exists can theoretically represent Ryujin Jaka, because it's just fire. It's just straight fire. Now, when talking about Zaka no Tachi, his Bankai, that's something I wanted to handle differently. But with this, I'm like, okay, what fire type is going to work? And I'm looking and I'm thinking, I do remember that a certain fire type Pokemon is said to live for like over 1,000 years. Now, we don't get very much detail on the lifespans of Pokemon. Some Pokemon are like ageless. Like most of the legendaries probably are nigh immortal, particularly like the creation trails, like a Dialga, and Giratina. They're more than likely nigh immortal as long as they're not killed. But other Pokemon we know do die. Pokemon do die. It's just some of them have extremely long lifespans. One of whom is Ninetales. Ninetales is an extremely powerful Pokemon. It's one of the OG Pokemon, just like he is the OG of the 13 Court Guard squad. And it's said that they can live for at least 1,000 years. So add on the fire type move on there, and you got a Pokemon that actually can fit really well with the Yamamoto. It's elegant but fearsome, just as he is actually kind of on the regal side. He carries a lot of wisdom into them, but at the same time, he is extremely dangerous and powerful. So I thought that kind of worked. Now, that's the only Pokemon we have for Ryujin Jacka, because any other fire Pokemon can easily represent that as well. Everything else is more a representation of his Zanpakuto, his Bankai Zakanotachi, which the Zanpakuto, instead of releasing these giant, monstrous gusts of fire, impossible flames to deal with, it compresses everything down into the blade and just makes it so anything he cuts is basically just kind of erased from his existence. Add on several other abilities. Now, the main ability is basically to compress the flames into the blade. But there's a secondary ability that's immediately activated with that. Zakanotachi, oh god, was it east or west? I say this, and now I'm going to just go out of my way to get up the Bleach wiki. So, okay, Zakanotachi, hold on. Zanka Notachi. All right. I want to actually get these names right. Excuse me. I was talking a lot downstairs. So, okay, you're not giving me the... okay, that just went straight into one of the abilities. I want the overall abilities of this sword. So... Zanka Notachi. Okay, here we go. So the first effect that's immediately activated is Zakanotachi East. That is the space ability. Then you have Zakanotachi West. Now, Zakanotachi West is... hold on one second. I went too far. Yeah, here we go. Zakanotachi East, the Sun's Edge. The West is basically where he is cloaked in his own Ryatsu, his own spiritual energy, but it takes the force so high, it takes the power of flames that are 15 million degrees. It's impossible to even touch him without basically being incinerated. He basically is like being wrapped in the sun. Now, there is no Pokemon that even comes close to that descriptor. However, there is one Pokemon that does actually have a similar... Whoop, I'm not meaning to move you. I'm meaning to move this guy right here. Okay. That does have a similar descriptor in the way it's described. And that is Magcargo. Magcargo is described as being 18,000 degrees. Which means, as I think, was it Lox and Noggin kind of demonstrate, the minute he comes out, he just, immediately just erupts the atmosphere. It's similar to Yamamoto, really, when you think about it. That's the way it should scientifically work. But yeah, otherwise, that's really the main reason I went with Magcargo here, is due to the fact that I always liked Magcargo's face. Like, look at Magcargo's face. Isn't he adorable? I just caught a Slugma recently on my Omega Ruby Nuzlocke playthrough. It's not a true Nuzlocke. It's not on an MLA or anything. I'm just playing the game in a Nuzlocke fashion. And forgive me, if my voice sounds like it's going a little bit, that's because it kind of is. But anyway, so Magcargo got that spot simply for the description. And it's a fire type, so it works. But there's another Pokemon that does also represent the sun. And really, I've always loved this Pokemon the minute I saw it. It sucks. It's so freaking difficult to get in any game whatsoever. That is the almighty Vocaroma. Vocaroma A looks like the sun. You can also make an argument that its wings, because of the edges of the wings, could be a representation of Zaka no Tachi East. But the reason it is on this list is A, it's a fire type, and B, it is often in ancient times considered to be like an emissary of the sun or the sun incarnate. It itself can be a bright light in the darkness and act as the sun. So this made a lot of sense. Plus, it's a very powerful Pokemon. It's not quite at legendary levels of power, but it is a very strong Pokemon. So there's that. Then you had these last two. Now, these two were actually the hardest ones to do. And the reason for that is Zaka no Tachi. Let's actually talk about North first. Not actually reveal it, but talk about it. Zaka no Tachi North is basically just a slash of concentrated fire and heat, which incinerates anything it touches out of existence. That's it. It's a simple attack. So that posed a problem. Like, okay, what do I get to represent that? But more importantly, Zaka no Tachi South. Longsword and Remnant Flame South, great burial rites of the 10 trillion fire dead. He impales it up to the sword and ground and can reanimate the corpses and ashes of the dead who were killed by his flames to come forth and battle on his behalf. How on freaking God's earth do you represent that as a single Pokemon? Does he have like an army of just undead, like ghost Pokemon as beck and call when he needs them or something? So I'm really at the crossroads, like, what the hell do I do for this? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I can't do a huge amount of Pokemon ups. It's got to be one single Pokemon. But what Pokemon even comes close to representing that? And I'm thinking on it, and I'm like, all right, let me look at the fire, because it's got to still be a fire type, too. Maybe I can make an exception, but it's got to be a fire type, ultimately. And I'm looking, and I'm like, well, this one kind of works a little bit. Alolan Marowak. Now, Alolan Marowak, it's a fire type now. It's got its bones now, lit on fire, same as, burning ash. It's dark in color. And it's a ghost type. So it's basically an undead fire warrior. Flame dancer, to be precise. So, in that regard, in theory, he could maybe call on a bunch of them, just for like a kind of in-lore thing. It's like, you do not understand, Ewok. It's like, you assume I only had one Marowak. This is my trusted partner. However, through countless deals, through countless ages, I have made many allies. And all of a sudden, like, hundreds of Alolan Marowak show up to fight him. If they had a Pokemon battle in that style, like they went trade blows, I'm sure I'll do a Ewok's team at some point. That would be very interesting to see. But that was the closest I could come to that. But then Zaka no Tachi North. I'm like, okay, this is, in theory, his strongest technique. Because it's basically a concentrated fire slash of death that incinerates anything it hits out of existence. Cool. How do I go about representing that? And I'm thinking on them like, okay, I need something that has the max amount of special attack power a fire type can have. Now, I say special attack because of the type of attack it is. He's basically, in essence, he's firing a concentrated heat blast at someone. That's what he's doing. But because it's not a melee attack, it can't be I can't use physical attack stats. So I'm looking. I'm like, well, there's this. Alolan Groudon. Not Alolan Groudon. Primal Reversion Groudon I had considered, but the thing is, it's not manipulating fire. It is a fire type, but it's actually turning Earth into magma, which is something in theory Yamamoto could do, but we don't ever see him do. So I didn't like using him in that regard. And I'm like, well, I've already used this guy once a while back, but I do like it, and he's got the highest special attack of any fire type Pokemon there is. So, welcome to the final team, Zaka no Tachi North of Charizard Y, Mega Charizard Y. The reason for that is because it has the max amount of special attack for any fire type Pokemon at 159. That is really freaking high. I think the closest one I saw beyond that. Ooh, what was the closest one I saw beyond that? Hold on. I'm just going to, because we're now pretty much have the whole team up here. I'm just going to go through here real quick and remember what the highest base was. Special attack I saw for everything else. So yeah, Charizard Y had 159. One of the other close, I mean, Moltres has 125, but that's nowhere near close enough. There was 130 for Mega Blaziken, who does have a 160 physical attack, and I was tempted, but I'm like, no, it's not a physical-based attack. Alolan Groudon, I keep saying Alolan, Primal Reversion Groudon does have a 150, so that was an option, but again, looking at what Groudon's really doing, I didn't feel it worked. Heatran surprisingly has a 130, but Heatran's just kind of there. Weirdly enough, Darmanitan's Zen mode has a 140, which is huge. And then Reshiram did have 150. There was one who had a slightly even higher than 151. 151, that went to, Blacephalon, the Fire Ghost Ultra Beast. So there was that as well. But yeah, it was by far Charizard who had the highest special attack. So for me, that made the most sense to be his final I'm going to take you out moment against someone. So again, to reference his age, wisdom, how long he's been around, and the fact that he is a warrior, Ninetales and Aegislash. Ninetales is essentially just Ryujin Jaka overall. Then you have the 3 Pokemon representing his Bankai. You have the embodiments on the sun plus Zakanotachi East, the Blade Edge in Volcarona and Macargo. You have Zakanotachi South, basically resurrecting the dead in Alolan Marowak. And then you have Zakanotachi North, the final strike he uses to reference Mega Charizard Y. So ultimately, in my opinion, that, my friends, is Genro Yusai Yamamoto's Pokemon team. Did you like the team I made up? Did you hate the team I make up? Would you change anything? And if so, what would you change? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments. Put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Ideas for who wins, Star Wars, Superhero Magic, What If, anything under the channel, Pokemon team videos, Magic videos, Zanpakuto videos. Put that in the comments below as well, too. You know the drill at this point, folks. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll be back with Box Office today. And that'll be it for today, and I'm going to pre-record, hopefully, my Who Would Win in Box Office tomorrow. What If tomorrow. Till then, thanks for watching. See you later.